Hi, everyone. Welcome to another great and fun episode of Margaux with Margaux. How was your weekend? I hope it was great. It's been kind of interesting because I've been pointing the camera to myself, so obviously I can see every little thing, every little part of me. And as anyone, if you're a female, you always want to look perfect. I'm one of those over A type personalities, want to make sure that I look great and say hello. So happy Monday. Oh my God. So I'm actually happy. I was thinking of doing the show Saturday and Sunday. I'm glad I did not because there's so much more news to share. I want to go ahead and toast. How are you doing? Welcome to another wonderful episode of Margaux with Margaux. Mm. If you have a favorite drink and you want to join me, you certainly can. It could be water, soda, maybe some wine, maybe some other beverage of your choice. And this is a happy Monday. Thank you for joining me. I will do it one more time. That was absolutely divine. So, ladies and gentlemen, I did not want to continue to talk about coronavirus for this much time because that was never the concept for this show. I was going to talk about all these other interesting, fascinating subjects, but we're in the middle of a pandemic. And as a result, our life is no longer the same. And the way we move forward, it's not the same. And we've all had to make some adjustments and sacrifices. And I've actually learned some good things about myself. So I think even though I'm going through a challenging moment, not as much as most. So I just want to say that. But also, I have learned some things about myself. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's go ahead and get started. A lot of great information. Let's first off, let's go over the amount of cases that are currently worldwide and how many cases are in the United States. The global cases at this point is 334,981 people have coronavirus worldwide. The number of deaths so far, which is pretty staggering, is 14,652 lives, which is quite a number of people. U.S. Trails Italy as a third country of that has the most cases. So far, the number of cases we have is 41,500 people, and there has been 573 deaths. Now, I don't know. Have you guys had a chance to watch the president's daily coronavirus with the task force and giving you updated information on the spot? And I actually think the task force is really good. They're reporting to you what they know when they know it. Obviously, they have to be cognizant of what they're going to tell the public and how. But for the most part, you feel as though they're giving you information as they know. And they also have a strategy, which is really good when you're dealing with a pandemic and a country at this level, this size, with this many people, and all the challenges that come into play. One of the biggest things, if you watch, did you watch the conference? Did you watch the did you listen to the conference today or the meeting today? So let me just go over a couple of things. One, so obviously nobody is working. Most people are out of work or they're working at home. Some industries, of course, people are not working at all because you cannot work at home. So you have two things to be concerned about: the economy, how do you keep this great country going? And the other part of it is the pandemic where people are dying. So when you listen to the president explain what's going on, his dilemma is how and when do I get people back to work and at the same time address this pandemic that people are dying. Now, one of the big takeaways that I got from today's conference was the following: a lot of people have coronavirus and don't know it. So, in other words, the number of cases is quite high. Probably anywhere, if you read any of these reports, 5, 10, 20 times more people, which when you think about it, it would make a lot of sense, right? You affect one, then that person affects 10. And a lot of people have coronavirus and don't know. So, in other words, if you were to compare how many actually have the coronavirus and you compare how many people have died from coronavirus, it's really small. It was, well, I don't want to say really small. It's smaller than they initially thought, because they were looking at reports of what was going on in Italy, what went on in South Korea, what went on in China, and you're using that as a guidepost to understand how bad the situation is. Now, first they thought it was maybe 5 or 3%. Now, of course, they're stating it's less than 1%. Okay. So, and the reason they believe it's at that 1%, because most of the time, if you were to get seriously ill, you would go to the hospital, and therefore they would report you having coronavirus. And of course, if you pass, then obviously they report that you've passed. Now, obviously, there's a lot of variables involved. Perhaps the person passed and they don't know that they had coronavirus, or people think they have coronavirus and they later find out they really don't have coronavirus. So making sure the information they're getting is on point and accurate is really one of their biggest challenges. And that seems to be a really big issue. I'm going to put this other phone really quick on do not disturb so I don't go through this again. So it's usually on do not disturb, but for some reason we did not have it on do not disturb. So hold on one sec. I just want to get this done because this is important, that I don't have any other interruptions. So hold one sec. And we're just going to hit start. We'll put here, hold on, now okay. So what we've done is the following. So the president's dilemma is this: how do I keep the country running, have a great economy like he had before, and also address this pandemic, which is highly contagious and spreads rapidly, 3 or 4 times more rapidly than the flu. That's where we stand. And that's why I listen to daily briefings, because I get an idea or a pulse of where the next steps may be. Also, we're daily informed of how many people have the coronavirus and how many people are sick. So this is becoming an interesting predicament that we're all in together. So that is what I think the president is going through. So I'll be listening tomorrow to get some really good information as well, which is wonderful. As a side note, there's one person that really has an interesting point of view. His name is Scott Adams. If you get a chance to listen to Scott Adams, he's also in Periscope. He's written great books, but obviously he's known for creating and writing Dilbert, the comic strip, which is really, really fun if you haven't seen it. And he has some really good opinions about this specific subject matter. And if you want to get a more in-depth point of view, I think Scott's point of view is quite interesting. And I've been listening to others, but I actually like Scott's quite a lot. I'm just going to give you a quick run through of all the things that went on the news today. He hints, Donald Trump hints that they're looking at a short shutdown. He's not looking for this thing to last for months. So in other words, he is looking for the key moment where he feels it's time to slowly ramp up people going back to work and getting the economy moving. They're concerned, obviously, about the number of people getting coronavirus in New York, because those numbers keep going up rapidly. He's also been pushing for malaria medications. He's mentioned a couple of them on the air. There's some other medications that are possibilities. They're still being tested. He also signed today, which I thought was really good, combat price gouging, which has been really terrible. That people are trying to make a profit off of a pandemic. I think it's the worst. I see some people are creating fashion lines and creating all these products for the pandemic. I think it's terrible to think this is a time to make money. I think it's terrible. If you have products or if you have something that can help people, I think you should give it to the people that need it. This is not the time to exploit this terrible situation. And businesses usually exploit terrible situation. So I completely understand. But in this particular instance, it's not the thing to do. I think it's wrong. I think don't do that. If you do have something that can help people, you should give it to the people that have it. Now, they had a big debate today because they wanted to pass a $1.8 million package, and Schumer and Newkin, and they're all talking, trying to figure out what they're going to do. I know I read an article that Nancy Pelosi wants to have her own package. Hopefully, we can get this solved quickly. There are a lot of people out of work. There are a lot of people who have kids, and they can't take. They're concerned about if they don't have the money, how they're going to take care of the kids, and the problem exacerbates when you don't have an income and when you don't have a job. And that creates a lot of problems on our healthcare system for mental illness, mental health. It's just another whole problem at all. So this is a problem that needs to be solved quickly. There are people every day who are trying to help as many people as they can, and they're dependent on our government to make quick decisions for the betterment of the people who they serve. So please, please, please figure it out and get it done. So that's my opinion on that. Couple other things. U.S. Committee has decided to postpone the Olympics in Tokyo. I feel really, really bad for the number of athletes who train for this event. Their whole life is dependent on the Olympics, and my heart goes out to you. This is not an easy thing for this to happen. It just tells you the seriousness of this outbreak. And I'm hoping they figure out something that seems fair, which I don't know what the solution may be, but I don't know. I also just want to quickly point out that I want to say prayers to anyone whose loved one has passed away as a direct result of the coronavirus. And also, if you have the coronavirus, my heart goes out to you as well. This is not, I'm sure, a very difficult thing to go through, and my heart goes out to you. So just know that there are good people out there, and we're all fighting for you and to stop this pandemic. I literally want to do whatever I can to help, and that's why I decided to keep the show, just to get the message out there and to continue to do what I can to help and serve. Also, that's just a little bit of the quick things there. I'm also going to talk about the warning signs. There are a lot of different warning signs. Now, did you see the president's, I would say, general rule that he came out with a few days ago? Social distancing was really important, to stay 6 feet away. If you feel sick, stay at home. If your kids feel sick, stay at home. If your family, one person's sick, stay at home. The problem is, it's just removing one person from the equation can stop the disease from spreading. So it's really important, if you are sick, stay at home. We don't want it to spread. I think you should also pretend as though you have it and you don't want it to spread from you. So I have to admit, I do go to the store with a lot of equipment on. I got the face mask, I got the cover, I have the gloves. It will take a lot for me to get sick. Now, I'm in California. I don't know where you are, but there are not a lot of people dressed like this. So it is kind of different, but I'm concerned about my health. I'm concerned about other people's health, and I just think it's a smart thing to do. Even though I am very much conscious and like to look nice when I go out to the store, but to wear all this is protecting you and it's protecting me, and it's a good thing. So keep it in mind. There are a lot of people on the front lines that depend on our decision, and it's important that we protect ourselves and we protect our fellow citizens and not pass this terrible, terrible disorder, the coronavirus. I'm going to give you some idea of some of the symptoms. One is trouble breathing, persistent pain and pressure in the chest, confusion, the inability, sort of confused, blush, lips, and face. So if you have any of those symptoms, I recommend calling your doctor immediately and get tested for coronavirus. I think the sooner you know you have coronavirus, the more you can make the decisions that you need to make. Also, there was a question in Italy. I don't know if you saw me talk about this last week. Far more men than women are getting coronavirus, which I thought was interesting. They still don't know why. That's another interesting question that they're still trying to figure out. Um, Donald Trump mentioned last week 2 malaria medications during the coronavirus talk that he has daily. Now, if you go back to if you go to his Twitter account, he mentions these 2 drugs on his Twitter account. But let me go ahead. I'm going to explain to you something that I read just recently. So last night, I read this article early this morning. I'll read to you what it says. A Florida man with coronavirus says drug touted saved his life. I'm going to read to you the article and let me know what your thoughts are. If you have any comments, I think these stories are going to continue to come out. Is it a solution to everyone? We don't know. Is it a solution to some? We don't know. But this particular person, this is what happened to him when he used the drugs. A Florida man diagnosed with coronavirus claims he was saved from certain death by anti-malaria drug touted as a possible treatment by Donald Trump. Rio Gardinelli, 52 years old, told Los Angeles Fox that he struggled with a horrendous back pain, cough, fatigue for 5 days after catching COVID-19, possibly at a conference when he was in New York. Doctors at the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital in South Florida diagnosed him with coronavirus and pneumonia and put him on oxygen in the ICU, he told the outlet. After more than a week, doctors told him there was nothing more they could do, and on Friday evening, Giardinari said goodbye to his wife and 3 children. Wow, that is a very tough thing to do. Quote, he said, I was at the point where I was barely able to speak and breathing was very challenging, Giardinaria said. Quote, I really thought my end was there. Wow. Then a friend sent him a recent article about hydroxychloroquine, a prescription drug that has been used to treat malaria for decades, and autoimmune diseases like lupus. Overseas studies have found to be promising treatment of COVID-19, though it hasn't been approved by health officials, which is important to know. Trump last week said he was instructing the FDA to fast track testing of hydroxychloroquine, a related drug, chloroquine, a treatment for COVID-19. Giardinari said he contacted an infectious disease doctor about the drug. He gave me all the reasons why I would probably not want to try because there are no trials, there are no testing. It was something that was approved. So it's interesting. So we'll see. This could be just this one particular case. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more cases now that they're currently giving this drug to people with COVID-19 or otherwise known as coronavirus. I do know I read another article in New York. They're going to start giving it to patients in New York if they haven't already. I guess they're waiting on large quantities. I'm sure all the reports are going to come back, hopefully, with some really good data for us to make a decision of how coronavirus affects us and if this is appropriate to continue to use, or should we I think they're going to continue to find other treatments as well, because everybody's bodies are different, and a lot of these drugs obviously have side effects, and we don't know what side effects this person will have, if any. I don't know. Keep in mind, I'm not a doctor. I just read the article and felt it was some promising news, and it actually put me in a really good mood, because the idea of people just dying daily is it's shocking. We know people die every day, right? We know people die of all kinds of diseases, car accidents, whatever. Death is hardest part of being alive, right? Is saying goodbye to loved ones. But when you have this type of disease that no one can stop and is very contagious, not only are you thinking of the people who die, but will it affect someone I know? Will someone I know get this? Will I get this? And how will my body handle that? So these are really uncertain times. It's really, it's something no one has ever seen in their lifetime. So it's quite an interesting thing. Okay, so the next thing is a little bit about what this gentleman went through. I'm going to give you an idea of why it's important to do social distancing, because it can happen to all of us. So I'll give you an example, because I studied math, so it's an easy math equation. Suppose a person by the name of Karen got infected yesterday, but she didn't know she had coronavirus for 14 days. She thinks she is healthy and she's infecting 10 people a day. So she wakes up in the morning, she says, oh my gosh, I feel great today. Doesn't know she's infected. She goes to a store, for instance, touching everything, talking to everybody in the store. She now has affected 10 people. Those 2 people think they're okay because, of course, they go home, they travel, and they get 100 people more affected, right? They now go to the store or anywhere. It doesn't have to be a store, but anywhere where there's people and there's interaction, there's possible exposure. Those 100 people think they're healthy and they affect 100,000 people. So now we have 1,000 people. No one knows who is okay, who can affect you. So this is why it's important to stay home, stay mindful. I mean, it's easy to squeeze in a couple more trips. I always go out the door and I go, okay, I'm going to do this one thing. And then I end up doing 3 things. So I completely understand who wants to stay cooped up in the house all day. And it's kind of could be a little stir crazy. It's good to just get out, you feel. But just be mindful. I wear my gloves. I got my protective gear. Now, if you don't have a mask, there's scarves. There's other types of material that you can use. I don't have the list with me of the different types of materials, but if you go to @Margaux Show and on my Facebook and other places, if you go to my Twitter account, it will state the different materials you can use to cover your nose and mouth, because that is how the coronavirus enters your body. So we talked about that. I'm going to share with you a quote I found on Twitter this morning. His name was Dr. B. Bobby Cheong. He's a physician. This is what he tweeted. One of my coworkers died today, a COVID-19. Not much older, great guy. We were just together a couple of weeks ago, talking about whatever. The next time I saw him, he was admitted to ICU. That was the last time I saw him. My whole body feels numb. He was a physician who died, probably exposed by a patient, I'm assuming, and of course is no longer here. So it just tells you the seriousness of what these doctors go through. They put their lives on the line for you and I, and it's important for us to do our part. I still see most of the public without any coverage. I recommend, if you don't want to cover it, at least the gloves. And if you don't do that, please, 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 please wash your hands a lot. I carry my, my antibacterial soap. I wash my hands. I'm already a little anal. This just stepped it up a little bit, so forgive me. So wash your hands. Be mindful everywhere you touch. And if you do touch stuff outside the house, don't put your hands on your face. That's why the mask is actually pretty good, because it kind of protects you from touching your face. Come home, wash your hands, and do what you have to do. I'm going to also read to you, this statement was by a virologist about how the coronavirus enters your body, which I thought was quite interesting. It says the following, quote, "Public should know COVID exposure dose matters. We have to conserve masks for healthcare workers, but masks can help anyone, reducing the amount of virus release, even by breathing or taking into our immune system. Is more effective if infections start with a low dose." Meaning, if you only get a little bit in your system, it gives your body a chance to fight. If it's more, then of course it's more difficult. Keeping the exposure dose to a minimum means that the virus has to divide many more times before it gets to the high level. But immune system starts responding and therefore can flatten the curve. Keeping the peak viral load lower so it does less damage and fewer symptoms. That won't help everyone, he points out, but for various reasons, whether genetics, immunosuppressive medications, or underlying conditions, even low exposure levels will climb to a higher dangerous levels. But on the whole, keeping everyone's exposure dose down if exposed can save lives. So this is important and why you should cover. I know it looks really awkward. Honestly, I go through it myself. And I just do it because I said, if I have it, I know I won't pass it to anyone, and I'm not going to get it from anyone either. So those things are in mind. Now, another thing to be mindful of, the coronavirus stays on surfaces for a certain length of time. Aluminum stays on for 2 to 8 hours, surgical gloves, 8 hours, steel, 48 hours, wood, 4 days. So wipe things down. Glass, 4 days, paper, 4 to 5 days. And that's important why it's good to have antibacterial soap, wipe down the counters, countertops, doorknobs, car handles, anywhere the high end makes it, washing machine door handles, microwave, the oven. Mindful to wash your hands. I can't say it enough. It's important to do that, which I think is really, truly, really important. These are the websites to go through that I've always been mentioning. There are three. CDC.gov, www.cdc.gov. Go check it out. It has a lot of great information. Educate yourself as much as you can. We're all not doctors. This is all new to us. Read, read, read. It can benefit you and your family. It's important once you get the information, share it with others because we're all in this together. Another website is NIH.gov, National Institutes of Health. NIH.gov is another great website as well. And there is one other, World Health Organization. That's www.who.int. So you have three websites to look, gain knowledge, and understand what's going on. I'm just reading a little bit about they're working on a vaccine. I did watch 60 Minutes, and you guys watched 60 Minutes. It was a really good show last night. They talked about treating coronavirus, and they also talked about vaccinations, and they also talked about the economy. There were two really good segments. So you can also go to CBS online or their app, and you can find information that was mentioned in 60 Minutes. Or you can go to @Margaux Show or on my social media. I put it out there as well. I think the best thing we're going to do tomorrow is I'm going to talk about the importance of your immune system. It's one of those things, if you have an immune system, you certainly can make it better. I think in my case, I experiment with a lot of different diet, herbs, and you can kind of tell when your immune system is really good. You're more energized, your skin looks great, you're vibrant, you're healthy, you're strong, you feel it in your bones that something is good and that you're doing for yourself. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the immune system. I have a really close person close to me, had a very big problems with their immune system, couldn't fight this particular disorder. I put him on a strict diet, strict herbs, tried everything, and he got better. So I knew his immune system would kick in eventually if I provide his body with the right nutrients. Our bodies have the ability to heal itself if given the right nutrients. We have a natural response system that our body is just so wonderful that we have in front of you. I want to share with you a quote that I found that was really quite helpful about life that I think is really important that we all know about. When you face difficult times, know that challenges are not sent to destroy you. They're sent to promote, increase, and strengthen you. And I truly believe that. It's like the person I was when I started this whole show 2.5 months ago is not the person standing here today. I mean, I've adapted, I changed. I have this very strong will to succeed and live a full human existence. And I'm sure you feel the same way. We're strong. We're going to get through this. We're going to tough it out. Each day, I think I feel like we're getting closer and something positive has happened. But tomorrow's a new day and a new challenge. So we'll face those new challenges together. I'm going to take another wonderful sip as well, which I think is great. So tomorrow we're going to talk about immune system. I'm going to talk about a couple of the television shows that I've been watching. Oh, as a side note, I did watch Contagion. I talked about it last week, and I watched Outbreak. My husband just thinks it was a little odd. Don't want to see these types of films, but I wanted to see the worst case scenario so I could be prepared. That's how anal I am. Very particular. I always want to know what's going on. Total A-type personality, over plan, over everything. But I thought it was important. So if you want to see two movies, I recommend. They may scare you a little bit, especially Contagion was really good. Then you can see all those shows online. I think Netflix, I know DirecTV. I found Contagion on DirecTV, and I think it's on AMC or one of those, or Cinemax, I think it's on. But there's some places you can find. What I do is if I ever need to look at a television show or a movie, and I need to find out where it's streaming, I just type in, I Google it and type streaming, and I usually can figure out what show and where it's located, where I need to go. I'm really enthused about this week. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to find out about what's going on in New York after it's going to take a few days. The Surgeon General was on all the media sites, was on a couple of television shows today, and he said it's going to be really bad. Obviously, I'm scared to hear those numbers of people dying, because every life to me is of great value. Each of us are important. We have family, we have friends, we're valued, and we're important. And so every life to me is absolutely precious. And it's just kind of one of those terrible tragedies. But, if you think about the president, at the end of the day, is a business guy, and he's used to getting things done. That's just his mentality. Obviously, the sad thing is about human life and what's entailed, and I really feel for that. But he's like myself, who's a business focused and oriented, that the show must go on kind of a person. And it's not an easy decision that he has to make. So we'll see how this whole week goes. I hope it goes really well. I wish him well. Okay. Another big thing I have just to tell you. So I reached out to people, because I have a lot of friends and family, about what's going on. And they all went on a rant, a few of them, not all, went on a rant about how terrible president is doing in this whole coronavirus situation. And my belief is the following. I don't care if it was Barack Obama, Joe Biden, whoever is in the White House during this pandemic, he has my love and support, because he's the guy that's in the White House. So it is not my best interest to sort of destroy him and talk about how crazy and terribly and evil he is when we have a national pandemic on that affects millions of people around the world. It just doesn't seem very smart. I'm one of those people, if you're doing something to help me, I'm going to support you 150%. Will I agree with everything he does? No, but he knows a lot more than I do. He's the president. I have my opinion, but he's in that position. He's the one confronted by that difficult decision. My decisions are nowhere impactful as his. I totally respect his job and the position. And let's talk about politics more in November, when November comes, once we get past this point. But people really actually attacked me. I was just telling them, hey, this is what's going on in the pandemic. They would go on this whole spiel. I wouldn't defend the president, but I would say, look, I think we should focus on other things like the pandemic. And they would go on this sort of rant. I just don't think it's very positive. Obviously, if you're watching and you hate the president, I understand. You may not like him or hate him. Okay. Well, he's our president now. And my goal, and I feel the show should promote whatever he does and support him, because he is our president. Voila, this is who we got. We're in the month of March. We got March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. We have a few months. So we could go back to the political fight like 2-3 months in. But right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic, which doesn't happen much. I've never experienced a pandemic before. And if you read about pandemics, this is like no other. The way it spreads, the way it's going, Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to tell you, thank you for joining me. And I appreciate you taking the time to join me on another wonderful episode of Margaux with Margaux. My prayers, there won't be many deaths tomorrow, and we'll get around the corner. I love you, and thank you for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another fabulous show. I have some really great information. If I miss anything, go onto my website, go onto Twitter, Margaux Monet, that's my name. Margaux with Margaux is the show, and they both have a Twitter handle. We're on. I have a LinkedIn account. If you want to connect, you can find me there. We have Instagram. We have all the social media sites. So if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to me. You can contact me through my assistant, GraysonKY@gmail.com. I also want to point out is I know a little bit more than what the general public knows of what's going on. I mean, it was really a tough weekend. And I still know a lot more that I can't really say, but I just want to tell you that my heart and my prayers that we get through this together. Please be mindful of other people. Please be careful out there. Cover your face, protect your face so you don't get the disease. If you're out in public, you know how you touch your face, you don't know. Touch your face, don't touch your face. Look, I touch your face. They said people touch their face hundreds of times a day. My God. If you touch someone or touch something and you can get it, cover your face, put on gloves, be mindful. I love you. I care about you. And I want to see you tomorrow on tomorrow's show, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for joining me for another good episode. Ciao, ciao.